A big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Morning everyone, fantastic to see you again. So something a little bit different today. I asked in the comments a few weeks ago ideas for videos, and the top comment was you should get somebody who's fairly new to photography and sort of go through compositions with them. And we've got Matt. So ready for this, Matt?
I'm ready.
Right, so we're going to go and see if we can find something and see what happens.
Let's do it.
So we're here in, as you've probably seen, I've been here before, this is the River Brathay. So you've not been here before, have you?
I've not, it's first time in the Lake District.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing photography for?
Been doing photography now for about 2 years, probably seriously. Maybe picked up a camera a couple of times, you know, when I was younger, but never to this extent. Yeah,
and I've known Matt for, I don't know, probably a year now?
Yeah, just over a year.
Yeah, so, and I think the idea of this video is to try and not completely diss everything you do.
You can try.
Although that would be fun. But no, it's just to try and help with, because I think quite often there's small changes in compositions that can make a really big difference, so we can have a look at that and see how you see things. So, but you've seen something here which it looks really nice, even though we've had a lot of clouds, haven't we, recently? In the last couple of days we've been here.
This is sunrise.
This is
right now.
This is sunrise.
So
it's fairly bleak.
well.
It's fairly bleak. So what are you thinking here?
Well, obviously we're just walking up to the lake further down here, but obviously the reflections here of the trees in this river for me are standing out as an obvious feature.
Yeah.
You know, the water's super calm, super glassy. I mean, looking at it from here, I feel like it's quite an obvious shot, but it's just what am I including in the foreground here? Yeah,
whether you include this or not, or
whether it's more just a tight crop on that as a square.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think it's just it's going to be the crop of it, isn't it? It's going to be where you stop it at the edges, I think, which will be interesting. Right, well, we'll maybe set something up here and then we'll come back.
Great.
Right, so you found something.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, this does look pretty cool. So what, you know, maybe just explain what you've got on screen here.
Yeah, so obviously when we got here, the first thing I saw was these trees here, and obviously it's almost like a perfect reflection on this, you know, unbelievably still river. So I've just tried to frame it up almost like quite central. Yeah. Because I think it's such a prominent feature for me. It's the first thing I saw, just plonk the tripod down, and that's what I'm looking at, and it's kind of exactly what.
I'm glad that you've got those on that side, because you could have easily just sort of cropped that through there, but that looks good that you've got that bit, because it gives this room to breathe. And I actually think when you look at this side and this side need to be the same. You've got this in the center. So I think that's really good in terms of the composition. Obviously in the video it crops a little bit at the top and bottom, but so if anything I'd say a bit more on the bottom, but then you're getting that on the photo anyway, aren't you? Because the video is just cropping it a little bit. So that looks good. I mean, to be honest, there isn't a huge amount to say about this, because you were talking about the foreground and you've not used any foreground, have you? So I think that's good, because I think it would have been really hard to include the grasses on the right hand side. The one thing, there's only one tiny thing, and it might not work, but can you see here that this bush is just cropping across this horizon line here? Yeah. It may be. So one of the things you did was you saw this shot, and then you came and you set up here. And actually, as it happens, I don't think moving left and right that much would have made too much difference, but it's always good to just check that out, I think. Because the reason I walked up there and up that way, you probably saw me, was I was just seeing if there was anything a little bit different, and it's quite easy. I do it all the time, where you just come, put your tripod down when you see something, you know, rather than sort of exploring the breadth of the river. So that's a good thing to do. And then the other thing is height, because I feel like on this, you might be able to go a little bit lower, and then that bush there is confined within the mountain.
In the reflection.
Yeah, and there's Yeah, in the reflection. Whereas here, it's sort of, and then it becomes really more obvious that because you see it, your eye's drawn to some things when lines cross.
Yeah.
So I would, if anything, see if you can, and what you want to be careful of is those trees don't want to go above the mountain range, but I think you can go quite a bit lower here. Okay. And this is the problem with the tripod as well, because you tend to leave your tripod on the setting that you've done. I do it all the time, but it maybe just experiment down there, because you can go forward and you might, and I think that might do it, but maybe take this shot, go down there, take that, and we can show both shots.
Right, so I suppose you're gonna tell me there's something in this spot, seeing as you're nicely guiding me down here.
Well, I'm trying to give you clues. I think that, I've taken shots down here. I won't tell you exactly what, and you might sort of recognise some of the bits. But I do think because there's no fog, it's going to make it a bit more difficult. But we can point that out. But yeah, the only thing I'd say here is maybe concentrate a little bit on foreground.
Okay.
There's my clue.
Okay.
So boggy here. I usually have my wellies on when I come down here.
So I mean, it would be quite nice to have some wellies to be able to wade out to those lily pads.
Yeah, so I've taken a shot with some lilies there. I'll put the photo up now, which was one of my favourite shots from here. But the lilies, I just got really lucky when those lilies were there. Yeah. But I think these grasses are quite nice. So I would try, without sinking into the lake.
Very boggy.
So quite often when I'm doing this, I'd like have, maybe just like shoot it, have my camera on quite wide, and then just move it around. So, until you find something you think could be good. So for instance, so here I'm just thinking, I really like these grasses at the bottom, not sure about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried too much about the background at the moment. I'm more thinking, what can I get in the foreground? So this is quite nice here. So basically what I've got here is, we've got these grasses, and then here, I feel like this bit sort of leads your eye around a little bit to that. And then you can sort of manipulate that to go, wherever you might want it to go. You just want to be careful of these.
Yeah. Whoa.
That's deep.
That is very, maybe I wouldn't stand there. Oh no.
I think probably back there where those grasses are is probably the best.
I'll try one now.
Yeah. Right, what you got?
Right, well.
You're not falling down the mud anymore?
No, not falling down the mud. But yeah, I've got this. I went with a vertical composition.
Yeah, good.
To try and emphasise that foreground a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's got a nice, what I'd say looks like some sort of leading line through the middle here. Going towards these trees in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm quite happy with this foreground. I'm not sold on it, but I quite like it. So I'd be interested to see what you've got to say.
To be honest, I actually like it. I think my first, I mean, again, with video crops it a little bit in the size, doesn't it? So it's a bit wider than this.
Yeah.
But I like it. The good thing is that you've got a polarizer on, because that makes a really big difference. If I just turn that, just like this here becomes very white, and you really want that to be darker, because it just helps to separate these grasses here.
Yeah.
So you've done that. I didn't say do that, so that was good. And I actually quite like the fact that this is separating from these here. So it's just about separation. Again, we've got a bit wider here, so you've got more of this, which is good. You mentioned to me off camera that you're going to focus stack it. I think that's important, because this is not going to be in focus. You've got the only thing I'd probably say is you've got the 16 to 55, which is about equivalent to a full frame 24mm.
Yeah.
So you could maybe put your wider angle lens. You might end up at 24 again.
Yeah.
But it'll just, because I think that there's always a tendency, I do it all the time, and in fact I've got a shot from here where I had my 24 to 70 and I didn't have a wide angle lens, and I wish I had. But I think if you have that other lens, you're never going to go zoom in more. So when you get to the end stop of a lens, it's always a good idea to think, actually now, go to the wider lens, because you just don't know if you're going to go a little bit past it. Okay. So 20mm might be better than 24, full frame equivalent. So I think that go a bit wider. And then the other thing is that when you go wider, what you'll find is that you get loads more sky and loads more foreground that you might not be interested in, but you might want to crop that.
Yeah.
So
it's better to have more to work with.
Yeah, you better to have more that way, because you might want more that way, and even though you're going to crop it to maybe a square or a 4x5, you don't want to get to the thing where you're looking at it thinking, oh, I wish I just had a little bit more on the left and right.
Yeah.
But it'll look worse when you go wider, because you'll have more sky and more foreground that you're going to eventually get rid of, if you see what I mean. I would maybe go just a tiny bit lower, because then you might just be able to, you've just got to be careful of where everything intersects, but I want to reduce this gap here down. So you don't want too much of that gap, so maybe just I mean, I'm only talking a tiny bit, but I would take one where you are and then maybe just go a tiny bit lower and take it.
Okay.
I like your changing method there. That was pro level.
It's the things you learn on Instagram.
That's going to be the best tip in the video.
Yeah, people will love that one.
So what you got? I'm getting wet feet now.
Yeah, well, I've got lovely waterproof boots on.
Yeah, mine are sort of waterproof up to a level, which is about 1 millimetre. So you found something? Oh, it's beautiful here, isn't it? It's very peaceful.
The thing I'm looking at mainly in my head here, I'm trying to use these rocks.
Yeah.
This line of rocks.
Yep.
To lead me towards this reflection here.
Yep.
Of the mountain. But I feel like I would take this. I'd probably take this. I don't know if I'd go, because I've gone horizontal. It looks quite nice, but I feel like you're going to point out here how this is just a bit dead space. Yeah, it might look different with the polarizer on. This is obviously only on the phone.
So I think with both shots, the issue is probably the weight of this.
On the right.
Yeah, there's too much on the right hand side, whereas if you do it the other way in horizontal landscape even, then it's still heavy on the right hand side. Yeah. So that, I understand it's a good idea to get the rocks, but I think you've got to try and find something that isn't so weighted on the right hand side. Which is tricky, because the rocks are all sort of grouped together, aren't they? You can't like separate them out very easily, which makes it a little bit trickier, I think. It's hard to get these rocks in. So if it was me, I'd probably just go simpler. Sometimes you can overcomplicate something. So I was looking at something over there that I'll show it on screen now whilst I show you, where I was just trying to keep it really, really simple. And it seems like really obvious, but just keeping the layers, and that was just like a quick.
No foreground at all there, really.
But I'm not, it's a good idea to have rocks, but I just don't know if they work 100%, these rocks, because they're too grouped together. So I've just found a shot here that I thought I'd just quickly talk about. I don't think it's the most amazing shot in the world, but it just demonstrates visual weight a little bit. So I've got that tree that we were just struggling with over on the right hand side, but there's some dark area here that sort of balances that a little bit. I also like the shapes as well. So the shapes in this are curving that way, and in this are curving that way. So they sort of mirror each other a little bit. And then through here, I mean, if it wasn't so drab, would look quite interesting, I think. So yeah, I've got a polarizer on that I'm going to mess with as well. But I think that's just an interesting shot in this location. I don't think it's anything amazing. To be fair to Matt, it's really hard because the conditions are quite difficult at the moment. Just being, you don't get much definition without a little bit of light. So whilst Matt's just setting up there, I just want to say, make sure you stay to the end, because we're going to go through the whole process. We're going to actually print the best image that we get here, and also go through editing and talk a little bit about editing as well. So I think that should be quite interesting. How's it going, Matt?
Yeah, getting there. I better get a quick shot of those.
Incoming geese.
2-second timer. Nice. Oh,
I got that.
I just said I had dry feet.
So you've basically gone just a little bit simpler, just with almost like a pano, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, I think it's just like quite symmetrical, isn't it, between the horizon here and underneath here, so it could be like one of those letterbox style crops.
I mean, it's so difficult at the moment because also we've got ripples now, which could look good, I suppose, but you get rid of the reflection a little bit, don't you? So you lose it. A fish just jumped up there. But I think that the thing that I quite like about it is the layers. So you've got like the things that are closer are darker, and then you sort of get those layers going back. It doesn't matter so much now that you've got a little bit of unbalance on the right hand side. I find that when you have a landscape shot and there's just a little bit of unbalance but symmetry top to bottom, then that helps that unbalance on the right, on the left. And also I always feel that a heavier object on the left of an image, so like visual weight, is better than on the right, because you tend to read, certainly in the Western world, from left to right. So that sort of helps the scene as well. So I think that looks pretty good. I mean, there's not a huge amount to go wrong with that, is there?
I've tried to combat, like, since the ripples have come on, I've put an 8-stop filter on.
No, so you're going to go for like a super long exposure?
Yeah, I think it's on 20 seconds, so hopefully it'll just smooth out.
That should look good, I think.
Yeah, I think that glassy look just looks nice with the sort of the mist as well.
Yeah, you want something soft, don't you?
Yeah, because I think the ripples, I've taken a couple where you can see the ripples, which they look a little bit, just looks quite hard in the foreground, kind of quite different from this very soft background that I've got.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I think that's good.
So I'm just going to stick this on and just hope.
Hope's a good thing. I do that a lot.
Yeah, so I think I've got this nice shot here.
Yeah.
Where I've got this sort of leading line of this path going out towards these trees. Because there looks to be a tiny bit of light over there.
Yeah, a little bit, isn't there? Very little bit.
Very little. So yeah, I'm just trying to get these trees in, and everything kind of like points in towards this sort of middle bit here, or side of the left side of the frame. Yeah. And then try to keep that reflection within that water line.
Yeah, that's important, I think. If it was me, I'd probably try, and I think you've got this anyway, because again, I'm looking at the video, but a little bit more at the top and bottom. So that's good, because on the actual photo, there is a bit more, isn't there? But I actually think that's good. The one thing which you did point out is that bit there is quite tight, where the reflection is coming through to the edge, but there is a gap, but it's tight. But there's not a lot you can do about that, because I mean, you could go a little bit higher, which might help that. So it might be worth, because there is some, a little bit height behind. Take this and then go higher and take it, because it's always good, I feel like, just to try and move just a little bit left, a little bit right, and in this case a little bit higher, because I think it might just open up a bit more space in this area. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens to this, because this is a big blank area, but like you say, there's a bit of a river there, and this is a line of grasses, which is quite nice. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how you get how when we look at editing that, how that comes out. I've
also stuck the polarizer on as well, because there's that path there. Yeah. You can see obviously it just gets dark slightly. Less distracting. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I put it on for that more than this, because I don't think that's really affecting that side as much. I think if it was more water or it was more obvious, then you probably wouldn't want it, but because it's only a small amount... Yeah, it's just quite bright in a way. Yeah, it sort of distracts. Okay. That's good. Good, right, I'll try and take this. Yeah, cool. We'll see. So you've moved this around a little bit, haven't you? So that you've got the V in the middle, so up in the middle, which is good. One of the things that I just mentioned is that I like, because you then said that the trees were cropped, and I said that maybe you should do a pano, but you've not done many panos. No. So I suppose panos are sort of dying thing, aren't they, really? Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to do them because there's not really anywhere you can post them. No. Instagram doesn't allow it unless you do one of those carousel crop ones, but then I know. Who actually swipes through them, really? You never know, because usually the first side of the frame looks pretty rubbish compared to the middle.
Here
so.
it'd be just that bit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I was going to start swiping on that.
Yeah, printing they look good, I think, but not as many people print. Print more, everybody. But I think it could be a reasonable pano, this. So I'll explain how I do a pano. So the one thing, a mistake that a lot of people make is when they do a pano is they just leave it in horizontal and do it. Yeah. But the most important thing is to put your camera into portrait mode and do it. Because the reason you do that is that then you zoom in a little bit. It gives you more room top and bottom so that when you're stitching it, you've got more room to worry about. And also you end up with a higher megapixel file. Okay. So you end up with something that can print really, really big. So the first thing is we just need to put the camera in portrait. So I'll let you do that. So now we've got it in portrait. The most important thing is that it's spinning around a flat sort of axis. So a lot of people think that you've got to get this level, but actually, because this tripod, you're going to be turning it around this axis, oh yeah, sorry, that one, like that, it's spinning on here, so this has got to be flat. So you've got a bubble at the front of the tripod there, you need to get flat. So you can move that around. So what I do usually is just move that around. So if you just move that from that side to that side, and then you can see what it's going to look like. It doesn't actually matter if this isn't straight, but it'd be better to have it straight so we can get that straight as well. Yeah. And then you can just zoom in a little bit. So then you just pan back to the other side again and make sure your top and bottom are okay. So you could probably go down a little bit here and then do it again. So once you've got a good pan and you think, okay, it's going to include everything, then what you've got to do is take a shot at every position. But you've got to think about your brightest position. So if you go back to there, because you want to try and put it on manual and keep the exposure the same. So, so now we've got the exposure right. We basically just start at the left-hand side and we've got to keep going and overlap by at least a third. Okay. So you can use your third lines to make sure you do that. And then in this case, we don't need to bracket it or anything because there's no, there's not a huge amount of dynamic range today. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. So, so you just keep going across and that's it, simple as that. This is the next spot.
Oh, wow. Right, well, that fence is absolutely screaming out at me.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? To be honest, I don't think I've actually taken the fence before. I always just go for the tree, but the fence today looks pretty good. Yeah. And also, look at those trees over there. They look pretty good, don't they?
Yeah, looks really nice. Got really nice reflection here as well, which is...
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Give that a good go. I mean, I think that's the obvious composition here.
Yeah, there's tricky bits with it though, I reckon.
There may be more.
Right, I'll let you set that up.
Yeah.
This looks pretty good, I have to say.
I'm happy. This is the most confident I've felt so far through this video.
Yeah.
Through that. I did say to off camera, if he can critique this, I'll eat my hat. But that's a lie, because I'm not going to eat my hat.
It was an expensive hat, wasn't it?
It was a very expensive hat.
Well, I like, the thing that I'm quite pleased is that you've got rid of the wall, because I always feel like that wall and the fence intersection never works. It sort of feels a little bit jarry. Yeah. So I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think there's much I can... I like the fact that you've got a gap where the stones are here.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that because I did actually try on that one.
Yeah, because that is a tricky thing to get here. Then, I mean, again, we've got a bit more space up there, which I think you need just above those trees. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's probably, it's nicely balanced.
Yeah, I'm pleased that I switched over to the wider lens as well because I don't know if it will show on video, but I was getting this little distraction of this bush in here. So I've gone wider lens like from earlier in the video and then punched in a bit, slightly more. Because on the 16 to 55 lens or 24 equivalent, I was all the way at 16 mil.
Yeah.
But then we're still getting that in.
Yeah.
So I've obviously just gone slightly wider. So I think it might be like 12 mil maybe here.
I think that's pretty good. Just be careful of that stick on the very, very edge there, and maybe give it
Tiny bit more.
either get rid of it or have more of it. But then you might get.
Then you're getting that grass back.
Yeah. So you might it might have been like that when you first had it actually.
So I'm just shooting something a little bit different here. I've not shot this fence from this sort of angle, but I thought I'd go really high. You can probably just see sort of. It's not the best tripod positioning, but I think it looks pretty good. I've just got this fence sort of shooting down onto it, and just got it going into this gap here. And then these rocks, I've got a polarizer on just to sort of try and get rid of some of the reflection down here, which I think is a little bit distracting. And I think this looks really good. I'm actually quite pleased with this. Yeah, I won't get Matt to critique it.
So Matt it's about a week later, Matt's actually gone and edited some of his photos. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to be too critical on this, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at the photos and look at his edit, and then I'll probably edit a couple of photos as well. So the first one is this one, which, yeah, this is when I think we spoke in the field, didn't we, about a little bit more space on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it was to do with the trees in the reflection on the
and I think that's definitely better, because that gives you more room to crop for, and then that's your edit.
That's my final edit.
Yeah, so I like that. I think it's a pretty good edit. I mean, there's not a huge amount to critique about it. The biggest thing is that space really around things. I always feel like there needs to be a little bit more space given. So, I mean, in terms of the edit, I don't think I'd edit it a huge amount differently. Probably what I would do is I'd probably just have a little bit more purple in there, because I think it's a bit green. So maybe I'm not going to go all the way, but we don't want it green, we don't want it purple, but I think at the moment it's a bit green. Yeah. So I'd probably put a bit more purple in it. On the RAW, you're better doing that. This is the JPEG, isn't it? And then I like the blue, I like the cold tones to it, but I would crop this bottom a little bit differently. So if I just go to this one.
Okay. So this is the unedited RAW file.
Yeah, this is the unedited RAW file. I would go and crop it so it's a little bit more symmetrical, because the whole thing about this image is symmetry. Yeah. So I feel like you need the same gap at the bottom, not the same, but almost the same gap at the bottom as the top, and then obviously, you know, you can do your edit on it. So I think that's the main thing on that one. So going to the next one, I think it's interesting this, because this one I really like the background more, because you've got that extra background, and this one the background sort of diminishes a little bit, and the foreground is probably too prominent. So I think, if I'm honest, somewhere between the two. Yeah. But my favourite one probably the 24, because I feel like there's enough foreground in there. The good thing about the APS-C camera though is that you actually get a lot of focus. You know, the depth of field in it for the same field of view is better, because for the same field of view you're shooting at a wider angle, which gives you a better depth of field. So I don't think there's much else to talk about on that one. There's a few little things that are annoying, like where that crosses that you could maybe clone out, that maybe clone out. But yeah, apart from that, I like that. It's a nice shot. So this was tricky, wasn't it, when we were here? Because I was saying there's a really nice mountain in the background.
Yeah, I didn't believe you. There was absolutely nothing on display here.
Yeah. So this is your edit of it.
It is.
I like the edit. I think you've done a good job of it. I think that the gradient is probably a little bit too strong, if anything. Yeah. That would be my comment. It's so hard when you've got skies like this. Yeah. It's so difficult. I mean, if I was doing that, I would probably go linear gradient, and then I'd do an intersection with select sky probably. Yeah, that's gone really bad. But then if I then move that linear gradient up a bit to about there, and then darken that down. I mean, you probably, did you dehaze it as well?
I think I did a little bit on it, because it was really hard to see anything.
It's really difficult to actually get anything out of it.
Because there was nothing there. Because I mean, when I was trying to take the shot, I was trying to expose for the highlights a little bit there. Because I'm fairly confident I can always bring the shadows up on these files, but there's like no details to actually pull back from because it's just plain white sky.
Yeah,
with,
it's a really hard.
clouds.
It's a really hard thing to edit, isn't it? I like it. I think your edit's again good. Same. I think it's a little bit green, so I would just add a bit of purple and then maybe just warm it a little bit. And then the pano, I think worked out really well. Apart from, I think that we probably should have tilted the camera slightly further up and had a bit more sky, because I think there's an imbalance between the sort of foreground here and the sky. You know, really, you could argue, but I like the foreground, but you could argue that you could almost crop it like that, and that would be a more balanced image. But it would be nice to have had more sky. But I looked at the...
Is this another one of the places you told me there was actually a mountain behind there?
It's the same mountain.
Yeah, it also disappeared.
Yeah. It's the same mountain. It's gone. Yeah. Okay, before we carry on with the next photo, which is probably Matt's best photo, I think, I just want to talk about my Black Friday offers. I've made a page with Squarespace, who are sponsoring this week's video, so thanks to Squarespace for doing that. It's super easy to make pages in Squarespace, you don't need any technical skills. And I made this page with my Black Friday offers, so I've got some discounts, some really good, the best of the year discounts off my ebooks and my presets, and also off my masterclass. There's a page in the description below. And thanks to Squarespace for making it so easy to do this. If you're looking for a new website, you want to set up a domain, then check out squarespace.com and use /Nigel or offer code Nigel for 10% off. Right, let's have a look at these photos. So this was the one that you were quite excited about, wasn't it?
Yeah,
this is the unedited one. This is the DNG. And this is your edit of that. Again, I really like your edit. I don't think there's anything I can critique about it, to be honest. I think it works really well. What's that? Oh, there's a man at the back there.
I forgot to Photoshop it.
To be honest, right, you told me about him before, so I'm winding Matt up a bit here. But yeah, I don't know whether it matters really, because it's giving a bit of scale to everything, but then I suppose the trees do that as well, so you can maybe spot him out. Yeah. But I like this. I think it's a really nice uniform foreground. All the rocks, everything's got its own place. I always like it where the space around that rock, these rocks are all in place. You know, this comes in from the side, and I really like that. Yeah, I think it's worked really, really well. Then the other one is this one, which is unedited. So, you know, that one, I mean, again, I'm not going to edit in total because that'd take a long time. But this is a really nice angle. I really like this angle. And I think I took a shot similar to this, but a little bit closer to the wall. My only issue that I've got with this is here, where it crosses over this ridge. I feel on this one, it's going into the ridge. It's definitely going into the ridge. So there's no doubt about the fact that it crosses over and into the mountain reflection, but this one just crosses over into that mountain reflection just a little bit. And I feel like when you're doing that, it's really good to have it either going in all the way or having a bit of space around it. I spoke about, I think at the end of the video, I just spoke about me taking this shot as well, and I'll show you my photo now. But I did that so I could get a little bit more space. You can see that there's a little bit more space there. That's exactly what I was doing that for. But yeah, I think considering the conditions were really horrible, you know, the fact there was no wind was good because we had those reflections, and it worked pretty well. So we'll print one out. I think do you want to print this one?
Yeah, I think this is the one I'm most happy with. So let's print this one off.
Cool. It looks amazing. Still looks really good. Your photo, I really like it. I just love the separation of these, and it looks fantastic printed. So yeah, it's come out really well, that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm very happy with that.
So if you want to know, by the way, this is on PhotoSpeed NST Bright White. People always ask me in the comments what it is. And also in the US now, it's been sold by a reseller over there that PhotoSpeed have told me. They're a really amazing company, PhotoSpeed. I love to help them out because it's a fairly small company, family-run company, and they've got a reseller in the US. So there's a link in the description for 10% off in the UK and in the US. Check it out. Brilliant paper, I absolutely love it. Okay, get to the better photo now. No, I don't think it is, I actually prefer yours. But this is mine, it's just a slightly different angle. And yeah, this is what I was saying about, you know, when you were taking the shot, just have space around here. So that looks good, but I missed a rock there.
Basics.
Not good, that, is it? Yeah, basics. The basics. Patrol your borders, and I didn't. But what I'm going to do is, Matt said that he's happy to give away this print, and he'll sign that. I'll give away this print, and I'll sign this with the rock edited out. Or you can have the rock edited in if you want. Just put it in this comment, rock edited in or rock edited out. And all you need to do is post a comment suggesting an idea for a video for the future, because this is how this video came about, from somebody's idea. And make sure you like and subscribe the channel. So do those 3 things and you get a chance to win these prints. We'll choose somebody in a week's time. Oh, I forgot to say, comment below which you think's the best. This one.
Team Matt.
Don't just feel sorry
Team
for
Matt.
Matt. Just go for the one that you really think's the best.